Hey, what's up, Reefers? So it had been a while since I've done a vlog update on the 45-gallon cube tank behind me, so I figure it's time for an update. So as you may have known, I have been combating some serious algae issue in the tank, and you guys have gave me some really good advice on some of the things I can try to deal with this issue. I was having trouble picking just one thing to go with, so I ended up going with all of them. So let's see what I've done. Let's go. Alright, so first thing first, let's look at the general health of the tank. So as you can see, the algae is still there. I kind of stirred the sand bed yesterday. So the algae is not gone, but it has definitely decreased. And I will show you the changes I've done to the tank to make this happen. But overall, corals are healthy, corals are happy. I feel like they're happier than before. And I move things around a little bit, and you may notice one new addition that I kind of snuck in there, even though the water parameter is not the most stable. But I just could not pass it up when I saw that. This gold/orange hammer, wall hammer that showed up on a local Refugium. How beautiful is that? That is like the ultimate LPS for me. Well, I do wish it's a little bit more gold, but we'll work our way up. I made sure there's a good distance between the elegance and the hammer. It looks really close from this perspective, but there's a good gap, and the water flow is kind of... Actually, no, that's not a big gap. Maybe I should put something there in between them. Anyways, that is the new addition. The Montipora capricornus up top is growing fast, and it looks beautiful. That piece actually got knocked down yesterday by a emerald crab. So it kind of outgrew the epoxy. It was just kind of wedged in before. The whole thing flopped down. Thankfully, nothing broke. So I just kind of put it back. But at some point, I need to either super glue or epoxy it down a little bit more securely. And the Gorgonian continued to grow. It's reaching the height of the gyri, so it's the growth is pretty impressive. It kind of took off. Same with the GSP. It's definitely encroaching on the Gorgonian now, so I may need to trim something back. Otherwise, everything is good. Things seems healthy. Things seems happy. Bubble tip anatomy continues to get huge. Same thing with the frog spawn. Right now it's not even at its biggest state. Normally it's probably, I would say, a quarter larger than this. Blue clove has gotten fuller. I think it's slowly adapting to the tank. And the places that died back initially from the contact with the frog spawn is starting to grow back. So that is exciting, because I do like the blue clove, even though a lot of people hate it. Alright, I'm going to keep the display tank update short because this is going to be a long video. Oh yeah, I have to show these guys. Look at the pair of Yasha Gobi happily hanging out. I'm really happy because this pair actually hangs out. With the previous male, usually it's like female from one side of the rock, the male on the other side of the rock, so I don't even know what's going on. But these two actually hang out, so I'm happy. And the male has been eating even flake food, so that is fantastic to see. Yep, alright. I'm going to keep the display tank update here. I'm going to probably do a longer display tank update a couple days later. But today, the main focus is the advice I got from you guys. I'm really excited to show you how I go from inappropriate reefer to a slightly more appropriate reefer. Let me turn on the light down here. Alright, so first order of business, sump cleaning. Look at this Refugium. Just look at it. Just look at it for a couple seconds and just clap. Did you clap? So if you do not know how the Refugium looked, check out my previous video. It had a sand bed, it's a mess, there's a bunch of detritus in there. So I pulled the sand out. Basically I use a Chinese takeout container. I have a lot of those because I'm Chinese. I love Chinese food. I scoop out what I can, and there was still some sand at the bottom. That's when DC Reefer suggested that, hey, you can go to Home Depot and buy one of those bucket attachment that convert your 5-gallon bucket into a dry/wet vac. And I went out and got it. It's like $29. I put it on. I was not expecting how powerful it was. I think it's like 1.5 horsepower. Man, that thing sucked water and sand out just like that. The water went out so fast, I had to like unplug it almost immediately. But with the help of that, it's called bucket head. I suck out all the remaining sand. There's a little bit left down there, but a lot of them is actually algae growing now because it's been sand-free for almost a week. So I clean up the Refugium, and it feels so much better. There's like no nitrates trapped. And thankfully, there's not a big cycle happening in the display tank because I pull the sand from here. Probably because any good the Refugium does is kind of offset by the crap that it put into the water anyways. And you notice that, well actually let's talk about the pump. You notice that I actually have a lot more water flow now. It's because, I forgot your name, I'm so sorry. But somebody recommended I upgrade the return pump to the G-Bow, I think it's DCT 4000 or something like that. It's like a $69 pump, that's that guy in the back. Round looking pump, and that thing is powerful. And the good thing about it is that it's a DC pump, so I can adjust the speed. Not like the Eheim I have here, 1250, that's a set speed. I can't really restrict, well I can restrict the flow, which I did not. But that one has a controller on this side here, let me show you. So this is controller. This is for the, well it's called G-Cod, but it's basically G-Bow, okay? The DCT 4000 if I remember the name right. But it pushed a lot of water. I have it hooked up to the return, and the water flow, the water it pumps into the tank is actually too much for my pipe to handle. So when I crank up a little bit, I'll see it start fluctuating here, right? And then I'll have suction going on, and then I'll lose a siphon. You have to siphon, lose a siphon. So I think what's going on is that the hole on the standpipe, on the cap, is a little bit too small, so I may look into drilling it a little bit larger so more air goes in, so it does not have that siphoning effect. After that's done, I can probably safely turn up the flow. But until then, I'm running it at about half speed. So that is one of the major upgrades. I swap out the return pump to something a lot more powerful. And then I use the previous return pump to pull water into the Refugium area so that I can keep this area detritus free, and I can spin the Cheeto that everybody seems to be obsessed about. You gotta spin it, you gotta spin it. I'm guessing you want to spin it so that there's no detritus build up in there. I know you're supposed to spin it this way, but unfortunately it started turning this way, so you know, I'll take what I can. This is way better than just kind of sitting on a sand bed, right? So that is the return pump that I got upgraded. Next thing I added is a filter sock that's currently clogged up because I'm using a 100 micron filter sock that is short. Because I've never used filter sock before, well I did, but really briefly, there's a lot of crap in the water, especially since I'm using 100 micron ones, so they get clogged up really fast. I ordered a pair. This is the second one that I put on this morning and it's already clogged up. So I'm gonna pull it out, I'm gonna wash it, and I'm gonna cycle the previous one in. But I already ordered medium length 100 micron ones from the same company. I think they call it Aquatic Expert. They make really nice filter sock. So I'll be using that. So I'm relying more on mechanical filtering now. So that's filter sock. And to raise the pH naturally, using one of you guys' advice, again, I attach an air line to outside the stand to pull in fresh air versus like using air down in here. So supposedly that will help raise pH as well. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, you guys have been eyeing this, I'm sure. Yes, GFO, that's right. You guys beat me to it. So this is the BRS reactor, media reactor. I got the standard version. In hindsight, maybe I should have gotten the mini because after putting in the recommended dosage, I only needed this much. But that's good because in Chinese there's a saying that you should buy clothes that you grow into. With a mindset upgrading somewhere down the line, I think this is good. I mean, I can use this for a larger tank as well. So I had the toughest time connecting these guys because they're so rigid. I had to keep cutting them, and I guess like initially when I did it, I did not push it all the way in, so water was spraying anywhere. So finally I manned up and kind of squeezed the things in a little bit tighter, and now it's all good. And it's being driven by a MaxiJet 1200. I can't believe these things are still around. I remember like 10 plus years ago we were using MaxiJet and they are the go-to power heads. But now they have been downgraded to just pushing reactor, water into media reactor. But it is what it is, and it is really quiet. I really like it, and I know MaxiJet has really good reliability. So we'll see. But I just had this hooked up today. So in terms of how effective it is, we will see how it goes. But even without the reactor, I've been doing the stronger return pump, doing the filter sock, spinning the Cheeto, and then I've been doing a lot of water change, and it seems to have a positive effect on the algae. I know it does not look like much, but this is already a lot better than what I was experiencing before. Now, something that you're not seeing here is that I have also started dosing kalk. I started maybe, this is really recent. This is like, I set this up 3 or 4 days ago, and I've already kind of gone through a ATO reservoir. So I'm using BLS advice by adding kalk directly into the auto top off container, and let me see if you can see in here. Barely. So like I mentioned, I'm Chinese, so I have a lot of Chinese takeout container. So of course I have a lot of those tops. So I stack the tops. I happen to have a piece of rock that a clam, one of my old clam came on. So I put the mini pump on that rock to kind of weigh the top down, just to elevate it off the ground so it's not sucking in the really concentrated kalks. And supposedly after every 2 or 3 refills, I should kind of just clean the entire container of the sludge at the bottom. And we'll see how it goes. If this height is good, I'll probably build something custom, just so that it's not so thrown together. So yeah, the reason I'm dosing kalk is to kind of raise the pH, as well as stabilize the alkalinity as well as calcium. Now I'm not really keeping any major SPS corals, so I don't really need to stress too much over it, but it's mainly for the pH, to kind of stabilize it and to raise it slightly. But in terms of like hardware upgrades, it had been a pretty crazy week and a half. So I got the pump, I got a filter sock holder, I got the media reactor, I started dosing kalk, I got the bucket head, the wet-dry vac attachment for a bucket. So there's a bunch of random hardware that I got, and hopefully this will clean the system a lot more than how I had it before. Well, I'm sure it does. It's just that I hope that it is enough to bring the water quality up and help me eradicate the algae issue. I'm starting to feel like I'm just kind of throwing money at the problem, hoping that problem will go away if I throw enough money at it. And if that happens, that's great, you know. But I feel like patience is going to be a virtue here. It's not going to be a quick fix. But I just want to make sure. I mean, every little bit helps, not just with the algae issue, but just with the overall tank health. And some people may be saying that, hey, you're doing a little bit too much. Maybe you should take it slow, you know, add one solution at a time, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, these are all, I mean, these make sense. Let's put it that way. Like, all these changes make sense. It just create a much healthier environment. Now, if I'm adding things that does not really contribute to the overall health to the tank and just kind of targeting one issue, then okay, maybe I'll try one solution at a time. But if all these changes are beneficial to the tank as a whole, there's no reason why not to do it. Just do it, you know, especially if these are all beneficial changes and it's not going to crash the system, with the exception of pulling this end bed. That was risky. Now, one thing that I did not try that you guys suggested is using Miracle Mud. I look a little bit more into it. It looks like a great solution, but I feel like with my schedule and with how I've been handling tank maintenance, it may be easier just to keep it like bare bottom in the Refugium. Especially with the crazy strong dry vac that I have now, I just kind of stick the tube in there and just suck out all the crap at the bottom. And you notice like how clean that side is too, because I kind of made a pass over there as well. And I feel like for water change, instead of just siphoning things from display tank I may just like first like blow things off here and let it kind of run a little bit. If the filter sock did not catch it, I'm gonna come up here. Well, the filter sock will catch it, but I'm gonna probably pull water from the Refugium and the sump in general, using that wet vac to pull out all the crap or detritus that was accumulated down here. But yeah, overall this past week and a half I learned a lot of things on how things work and how haphazard my system had been. And hopefully with all these changes, the tank is running a lot cleaner. And I am on my way to become a more appropriate reefer in comparison to before. I know there are still a lot of things that I could have done better. But one thing at a time, right? Now I'm focusing on water quality. So I'm gonna let the system run and stabilize a little bit. I'm gonna stop tweaking it because my hands have been in the tank for like every single day for the past week and a half, just kind of tweaking the hardware, mostly down there. I'm gonna let it stabilize a little bit, and then I'm gonna do water tests just to see how it stands after all the system has been implemented and it's slightly more mature. And I will post the results. Once again, thank you everybody for your recommendation. You know, from pulling out the sand bed, which everybody feels strongly about, to getting GFO, to increasing the return pump size, to using filter socks, to dosing kalk, you know, all those things. Every little bit help. So I will keep you guys posted on how these changes have been affecting my display tank. Again, it had been running for about a week and a half now, and I think we avoided potential crash from especially pulling the sand bed. That scared me. But I was able to like just scoop all the sand out and then siphon all the water out from here. So I think we're in the clear, especially since it's been a week and a half. Alright, I have been rambling long enough, and I will end this video here, and I will see you later this week. Hope you guys have a good weekend, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya!